fraudulent 5. Losses to business imposters have skyrocketed, which is what happened to that guy that you guys talked about. Investment scams are going up. And of course, scammers are going full blast into social media. So there were 5.2 million reports in 3 categories: ID theft, imposter scams, credit bureaus, info furnishers, and report users. When people age 70 plus, I think we probably all fit into that group, maybe. The median loss was much higher. We know better, but a lot of our peers and even a lot of people way younger than us need to be educated about stuff like this. What I'm going to talk to you today about, you're probably going to, well, I knew about that. It's to refresh your memory so you can keep your eyes and your ears peeled. If you're down at the senior center or you're someplace where you're around a different group of seniors than your tech group, and you hear people talking and your ears perk up and you know, that sounds like a phishing scam. I wonder if they know about it. And I think that's our education role in life. You guys are a nonprofit 501c3, and the group's all about education. So 1 in 5 people lost money in the imposter scam. ID theft reports are up 13%. 88% government benefits applied for and received by an imposter is down. Good to know. And here's the top 29, so to speak, or the 29 categories. And I love even funeral services, for heaven's sakes. I mean, come on. But those are the categories of different kinds of fraud that people get involved with. You will get a copy of this PDF. I'll send it to Sandy. And here it is by year. It's peaked in 2020, went down in 2021. And this is how you pay for them. Credit cards. Nobody in their right mind should be using their debit card for anything online, et cetera, et cetera. Even money orders. How many times have we gone through the fact that Western Union and back in the day, and so many stores stopped, doing Western Union. And now Western Union says anybody who has that type of business in their store, like Kmart always had Western Union, at least out here in California, they did. They request that people be trained on fraud, on people coming in and being money mules, or, asking for 6 money orders and things like this, that their antenna goes up a little bit and they think, I wonder if this is about fraud. And this is how we got stuck with fraud. There's the ever popular online ad or pop-up. You have 365 viruses. Oh my gosh, your computer's going to fall apart. And this is by age. And look at the most is 30 to 39 get hit. And then we're not too far behind if we're between 60 and 69. You'd think we'd know better, but apparently we don't. And we have the 3rd largest set of money going out the door. And this is ID theft by age. And again, those 30 to 39 people, they grew up trusting. They've always had the internet. They've had this, they've been online. And, back in the day, we didn't have to worry about things. But these people who are 30 to 39 have heard about scams and phishing, I would think, forever and a day. And yet they obviously aren't paying attention. And if you get to be 80 and over, like I am, we're way down there because we know all about this kind of stuff. And here's where Ohio fits in fraud. You're number 25 of the states. And in ID theft, you're number 18. Yeah, I know. You're 4 behind us in California. And well, you're a whole bunch behind us for fraud. So that's not too shabby. But every place I've given this presentation so far, our states have been, not down at the bottom, let's say. They've been in the middle or closer to the number 1, so to speak. And credit card fraud is the top ID theft. You are, again, 18th. But again, only 30,000, not quite 31,000 ID theft reports. I would imagine there's a whole bunch more people out there in Ohio have had that happen to them, but they have not reported it. And you do sometimes get your money back. So everybody that gets hit with any kind of fraud should report it. And here's your local map on the right. I don't know where you guys are located, but this tells you where the most reports are. So where are you compared to the big blue-green mark in the middle of the state?
Cuyahoga County is the.
We are underneath of the E in metropolitan, right as it gets into the lake.
Yeah, we're
Okay, so I'm assuming that the dot at the top is Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah, so Cleveland has more ID theft than anybody in your state. But the FBI office is right there, so they should be able to take care of all of this.
We wish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I tell you. So this is from the FBI, and it's a long list. There's all kinds of things in here that you might not have heard of before. There's a few that I hadn't, and I went, really, never thought about that. But they want in advance. Again, this is what happened to that guy. He buy these things, and then we'll reimburse you. Do this for us, and then we'll give you this money, and we'll reimburse you. That's the one. Every time there is a disaster, a hurricane down in Florida, tornadoes, whatever, you have to look out for disaster fraud. Counterfeit, credit card, election. So glad that went away. I love this, cosmetic and anti-aging products. Oh, darn. And these are in alphabetical order, not by number. Funeral and cemetery fraud. I think that's very tacky, personally. Healthcare, holiday ID, investment fraud. I love it. Market manipulation, pump and dump, pump your money in, you dump stocks. Money mules. We're going to talk about money mules. And I'd like to know if anybody has ever gotten the Nigerian letter or the 419 fraud.
You mean
Where I have all this money.
Yeah, I've gotten one in email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah. A long time ago, when I remember saying one of our members was
oh,
in
that
Nigeria.
too. No, I'm talking about. She's talking about the one where the prince is trying to break.
Yeah.
Right, and he needs our help because
He needs our help.
you're a personal friend of his.
I have all this money I need to get into you, and
Right.
if you'll take it, then I'll give you a part of it. But oh my, you have to send me.
Oh yeah.
My group used to get that 1,000 years ago when we had a
Right.
post office box, and it was typed. It was before computers, mostly were prevalent out there. And we'd get those every once in a while mailed to us. And I laughed hysterically the first time I got it in an email to the club's account. I thought, what a hoot. And it said the email said exactly the same thing that the letters did back in the day, which was 30 some years ago. And I just laughed at that. And they finally caught those guys. Non-delivery of merchandise. Oh my gosh, we haven't been able to get your FedEx package to you. Please click here and give us all your information. I don't think so. Ponzi, pyramid, ransomware. reverse mortgage scams. That was a new one to me. And the very publicized romance scams.
Dr.
Every
Phil.
February, they really blast into this, but it happens 12 months out of the year. And the government impersonation scam. Criminals pose as government employees and, oh my gosh, you have had this fine, you haven't paid it. We're going to be right by and we're going to arrest you unless you provide payment funds or other type of payments. And of course, over the phone, credit cards, gift cards.
Gift cards.
Yeah, money orders, whatever. The home repair scams, it's hysterical because in Nextdoor, a picture of this guy was sent through and he insisted on talking to the homeowner, insisted on it, this lady said. And she said, I kept saying, I'm the homeowner, but he wouldn't give her the time of day. So she described him totally. Color shirt, what he had in his hand, what his mannerisms, you know, color shirt, color pants, he had a hat on, blah, blah, blah. A week and a half later, knock on the ring of the doorbell, and I go to the door and I look at him and I look down and I said, oh, you're wearing black tennis shoes. And that's the only thing that she didn't have is the color UNK. She didn't know the color of his shoes. And he looked at me and he started to laugh and he said, oh, I know where you got that from. And I said, you're selling solar. I'm not interested. Thank you. And he turned around and walked away because a post close to the lady who described him, the guy said, he was here. I was working in my garage. He came in, he's selling solar. And I thought, the poor guy, I wonder how many people like me said something, oh, I know you're selling solar, buzz off. So there are still radio scams. We have your family caregiver scams. San Diego's working on a bunch of caregiver scams right now. So the FBI says, never give or send any personally identifiable information, money, anything to unverified people or businesses. Make sure we know this. Make sure all our AV security software, malware protections are up to date. Make sure we are using ones that are reputable. I found it interesting last night when I went around the room after talking about the Google security features, and every once in a while I check in and find out what security program they're using and what they're doing to back up. Not all my people still back up, even though I've harped on it for years. And one guy was using Trend Micro. And I thought that was very interesting because I used Trend Micro in 2007. And it's when it is ever rated, it is always way down at the bottom. And out of my mouth, I said, gee, that's usually rated very poorly. And I went, oh, you made him feel good. So you make sure that you are using an antivirus security software type program that is something that is always given a high rating. Your tech group members are using it, so on and so forth. And if you get that pop-up that says you have 395 viruses, best thing you can do is unplug your computer, get off the internet, shut down your device, no matter what it is. And when you turn it back on and you go back out to the internet, and if you are like me and you say, please restore my tabs up there, you don't want to do that because you're going to get the pop-up all over again. And you can get this by just searching for something and stopping on a website, and you go, oh, this is nothing I'm interested in, and then going on to the next one. This happened at work for me. I was in the legal department, and we were working on a lawsuit. I was in-house counsel, and I was doing research, and I was on this website corporate that had corporate entities across the United States, a large business, and all of a sudden I had porn videos rotating in front of my very eyes. And all I could think of was, thank God I wasn't doing computer club or LCCUG work on the internet. And we couldn't get rid of it. It was hysterical because what are we taught? To close something, click on the X. And every time I clicked on the X, it started them all over again. So finally, I shut everything down and paid attention to what I have in my presentations, and we did get rid of it. But I thought it's just ironic that, I know about this and I let the people know this site was down in Texas, their office, and I let them know that they need to have their IT person take a look at their website because that's the only place I'd been. So be very careful. We knew that. Don't click on a link that we don't know where it came from. Trust the person who sent, even if we trust the person that sent it to us, that doesn't mean it's a good link. And we always need to take precautions to protect our identity and immediately contact your financial institution to place protections on your accounts. Ask them to monitor your accounts. You've got the credit bureaus and this kind of stuff. But with my Discover credit card, they have a freebie service that every month, apparently they go out and look on the dark web and let me know that my social security number has not been compromised. I just get a monthly email about that. And I say, thank you very much and delete it. But it's just an extra little freebie. And I thank them very much for monitoring that on the dark web for me. The reverse mortgage scam. This is the one that I had no clue about. And the mortgage brokers, financial advisors, appraisers, attorneys, loan officers, they can all get together in a group and do fraud. They inflate the appraisal. It's like now, my house is worth $750,000. My house is no more worth $750,000 than it could fly to the moon.
Yeah.
But this is the housing market that went up, and they're going down now. They've been going down to more realistic amounts since March, which is good. But they will come by and appraise your house for a lot more than it's worth, and then they'll do a deal, and you get, out of money. And people say, well, the FHA, they take care of things. They don't protect the borrower. They protect the lender in case of default. And anybody that gets involved with the reverse mortgage should get straight scoop from HUD or the FTC and make sure that it's federally insured home equity conversion mortgage. And you are required by law to meet with a government approved counselor. Good idea for seniors who think, I just got to do a reverse mortgage. Can we really rely on those movie stars or TV stars on TV that are so very sincere in talking to us about reverse mortgage, and they have so much money, they'd never be involved in anything like this. And they're just shills. Romance scams. People have to realize they're not always as they appear. And literally, this is a huge scam for mostly women, but also men. One of the FBI agents was in this unit for a time, and she still kept in touch with 3 little old ladies. And they were from somebody from the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s. And even though they were no longer her responsibility, she felt responsible for them because she believed they understood that the guy was really not ever going to come to her, even though they dearly wanted that to happen. And they'd all lost money that couldn't be gotten back. And so she checked in with them, and she had a deal so they would remember her, that she would sing part of a song from the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s every time she called to remind them who she was. I thought that was so cool. And now she's retired, so they don't get that. And these people are really convincing, and they're found on dating sites and, of course, social media. And oh my, it's just, they just sweep people off their feet wonderfully. And so down the line, they ask for money. They say they live overseas is why we can't meet, or they're in the military. And oh my gosh, you are the person of my dreams. And they would like you to move to a different site from where you met them in the first place. So you finally wised up and found out this was not really what it was. And so the FBI says, cease communications immediately and notify your website. If you find a scam on Facebook, they would like you to let them know that there's that particular scam out there. And then you need to think about, what do I have that identifies this person? Email address, IP address, that's something that we probably wouldn't have, but any other information that you have about this person. Have you sent money? Contact your bank or credit card company and try to get any kind of payment stopped or reversed. Sometimes it happens if you're quick enough. And then they say, please let us know at the FTC so we can see what we can do about this person. Ransomware, we've all heard about this. It was a flurry a few years ago. Everybody was coming unglued about it. You don't hear that much about it now, but how do you get it? Phishing emails. You know, your best friend sent you an email with a link. Just because it's your best friend, beware. It might be a link to something crummy. You don't know. Maybe he or she is just passing it on. They didn't even click on it. It just, look, they thought, oh, Judy's probably be interested in this. I'm not, I'll forward it to her. Well, no way is Judy ever going to click on it, but thank you for the thought. So be very careful about that. Drive-by downloading, I had no clue I was getting that porn stuff when I was at that company's website in Texas. Social media, huge place to get it. Web-based instant messaging apps is the same thing. So your pop-up, it says, oh, I'm sorry, your computer has been infected with a virus. Click here to resolve the issue. And of course, if you click there, that's when you really get it. And oh my, everything's locked. We found illegal content. We've tracked you through 16,000 porn sites. You're going to have to pay a fine, or you're going to have to pay X amount of money to get access to your files again. It's recommended, of course, that everybody back up. But if you have an external hard drive, it should be unplugged unless you are backing up. Every Saturday night, Bob Gosticha unplugs out from the internet all of his computers. No Wi-Fi, no nothing. He backs everything up on Saturday night. When he gets up in the morning, he unplugs the external hard drives. He goes back on the internet and he works all week long, and he does the same thing on Saturday. So he does not keep his external hard drives plugged in, because if you get ransomware, it can go from your C drive to your external drive. And in that case, you better have a backup in the cloud somewhere. And my recommendation is just don't click on the X, because it might be programmed the same way mine was at work. So you can use Alt F4 to close the open window or pop-up. Take a picture of your screen, do Windows key print screening, so that goes along with a report that you're going to make. Turn your computer back on and reboot it, see what happens. There's my don't click on restore pages. See if you can get to your files. If for some reason you're lucky and you can, do a deep scan. When our daily scans of our antivirus program, they're just lightweight. I used Defender, and I also gave them a hands-on demo of that last night. And my light scan took 1 minute and 31 seconds. And every once in a while, please do a deep scan. And Windows Security let me know that if I were to do a deep scan, it would take over an hour. So we need to do that every once in a while. Bob G and I both say you need to have Malwarebytes and run it because it is, it looks for different things. And one of my members was using malware bytes in its full mode, where it's the security program plus the other stuff it does. And out of my mouth came, gee, that doesn't get very good reviews, because it doesn't. Oh, well, I wonder if they'll come back to the meeting next month. So should you pay? The FBI says, please don't pay. They don't guarantee that you're ever going to get anything back. And decrypting the files doesn't mean the malware stuff is gone. It could still be lingering around. And that I says, it says, if you have a picture, they say, please add it to your complaint. So quickly do a Windows key and print screen, so you get an instant copy of it. And when you are a person who is involved in fraud, tell your local police department, as well as the FBI IC3 or the FTC. Preventive maintenance, there's Bob's thing, only plug in your external drive when you're backing up. One of the gals at the Los Angeles Computer Society, where I'm giving a presentation on artificial intelligence tonight, from, tech sources, and then they're showing some videos. But their techie recommends that everybody, when they go out to the internet, use a virtual box. And Stephanie says, I get so tired of setting that up and then going out in the internet. But she said, when I turn my computer off and it closes down, I am so happy that I know I didn't pick up anything when I was out there. She's a retired attorney. So she's crabs about the length of time, but she's very happy that he has said that's what you should do every time you go out on the internet. So, money mule, elder bank fraud. And a money mule is someone who transfers or moves illegally acquired money on behalf of someone else. The problem is the money mules don't know that it's illegal money. And the senior population who are doing somebody a favor, they are doing it because somebody has said, I'm a friend of fill in the blank who they know, and they're getting paid a little bit to do this. And they're the distance between the crime victim and the criminals. And the money mule will go to jail along with everybody else, which is sad. And who do they look for to do this? Seniors who need money, students, people who are looking for work. Aha, the ever popular dating sites and romance scam people. And if you know anybody in conversation that it just, just raises, the hair on the back of your neck, and you think, that sounds like a money mule scam. Talk to them about it, ease into the conversation somehow. And if they're involved in it, they should notify their bank, wire transfer service, or any gift card companies involved. And of course, the FTC wants to know about it too, as well as your local PD. And the banks are real big on training their tellers on how to spot stuff like this, that if they have somebody come in who keeps opening new accounts, or they open an account and it's open for a month and then they take all their money out, and are you going on a cruise? Are you, doing this? Are you doing that? No, I'm just depositing in another bank. That's telling the teller that this is probably has to do with money mules. And the banks have people trained to talk to these people and try to figure out, is this what is going on with this unsuspecting little old lady or 1,000-year-old man? And like I say, they can go to jail. And there is an initiative out there to keep everybody informed on what is going on. But those are all the charges that they could be faced with just for doing what they think is a favor for somebody. And this act came out after 9/11, and you can read what it's all about there. But they have a government form that banks can fill out. And of course, nobody has time to do all of that. So they've gotten together and they have their own stuff the government has approved. And if Bank A finds that they think, Joe Blow is a money mule, they let their consortium of banks in their area know about it with a text message. So they get instant feedback. And so when that person comes to open account, the person that is responsible at the bank, who has been highly trained in money mule fraud, talks to them as they come in. And we had a wonderful presentation at the FBI place from a bank up in Santa Barbara, and how they are all actively trying to stop this, especially on the senior level. And the one that the banks have put together is called Verifin. And over 3,000 banks. This was a couple of years ago when they gave us the presentation, but they share information. And I think that's way cool. They're trying to take care of the little old people who were involved in this. Shop safely online. We all know about this. Think before you click. Is that offer really too enticing? It's absolutely hysterical. I can say his name. He doesn't mind. Bill James. He found this item online. He's big into home automation, and it was a huge amount of money. And he found one for $100. So he bought it. He checked out the website, the whole 9 yards, and is the offer too enticing? Yes, it was. He paid his 100 and change, and he's never heard anything since. And we just chuckle about the fact that he'd get involved in this, but it was something that it was too good to be true. And he freely admits he got taken. And if you go in and try to track the shipping, oh my, that website doesn't work anymore. And it does look totally legitimate. It's got a brick and mortar address in New York, but so be very careful. If the offer is too good to be true, move on by. And please check out the Better Business Bureau reviews to see what the others say about the website or the merchant. Never hurts. But there was a physical location and a phone number, but he didn't give him a call. So we think that's pretty ironic for somebody who is immersed in technology. So use a credit card, never use your debit card. Use a third-party payment service. I only shop online with PayPal. And if I can't buy it with PayPal at that particular site, I just move on. Once you get your credit cards out there and your information, it's there forever. I always recommend that if you shop with credit cards, say at Amazon, that you go into your account and you see just how many credit cards you have used at Amazon over the years. One needed to be renewed, it renewed, but in the meantime, you decided I'm going to use the XYZ card instead of the ABC card, and you delete the ABC card. Well, that information is out there still floating around. But I've mentioned this to people and they'll get back to me and they'll say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that. I found 5 credit cards listed at fill in the blank, Amazon or wherever, and they just hadn't realized it. So check your bank and credit card statements, but I use PayPal. If you are out and about and if you want to be, according to the FBI, much more secure than usual, you're going to want to use Google Pay, Apple Pay, something that's legitimate. Venmo has been hit with problems. Venmo is owned by PayPal, but they say with the pay, when you tap it with your phone, nobody knows what your credit card information is, period. It's on your phone. It doesn't go anyplace. When you swipe or you stick the chip in, the entity where you are shopping now has a record of your number. And we really don't want that. So the FBI says it's much more safer to use a reputable Google Pay, Apple Pay, something like that. And tech support. I just leave this for you this April because April Fool, don't be an April Fool. But scammers, they pose as tech support, and you can read that while I tell my story. I used to give a presentation at a group about an hour away from me every other month. And we helped the group stay alive. And so I'd go out there, and one time the president said, could you stop by my house on the way home? I want you to take a look at my computer. And she had fallen for this. And I thought, oh my, I talk about security and stuff all the time. Haven't you been listening? And she happened to be having a problem with her computer. And it was just, you know, the universe coming together at the wrong time. And she fell for it. And she gave them her credit card, her credit card number. She paid for a year's worth of service after they, quote, fixed her computer for her. And it only cost $199.99 to do this. But she was covered for the entire rest of the year. And of course, it was a recurring payment and blah, blah, blah. And it was just ironic that she did happen to have that particular program at that problem at that time. So I went in and went to uninstall programs, and there was the stuff. There were 3 things on her hard drive, and she called the credit card company, and she got the first payment back. And so she ended up not being out of any money. So please be aware of the scary pop-up messages or just plain old pop-up messages. So don't give control of your device to anyone you don't trust. I imagine you've got a techie at your group that will help you. He's trustworthy, but not Joe Schmo down the street, not your kid, not your grandkid. You really don't know how much they really know about stuff. And you never know what's going to happen to your device if you let somebody unknown take control. So when in doubt with an email, throw it out. With Gmail, it's great. In my presentation last night, Gmail finds 99.9% of scam and phishing, and they put them in my spam box. I never, ever get any type of information, emails like that in my inboxes. And I have many Gmail accounts because of LCCUG uses that. I have it for my club. I have a personal one, and they take really good care of me. But is the sender asking you something they wouldn't normally ask you to do? You know, your best friend sends you an email and you look at it and they want something and you think, well, oh, no problem, Ronnie, I'll be more than happy to do that for them. No, you're not, because there's a good chance that it is not from Ronnie. If they say you must do it now, that's your red flag. Respond immediately. Click now. The Computer Club of Oklahoma City, that's Bill James' group, there's something called Triad. Sandy, you need to look and see if you have Triad in your area. They're all about seniors. And it's a consortium of sheriffs and PDs and stuff like that. And this gal gave a presentation, and it was the best security presentation I have ever seen. She talked about stuff that I'd never heard of before. And her comment was, you know, those TV commercials we see that says, due to limited amounts of stock, you need to take advantage of this right now. That's exactly the same thing as the emails that we may or may not get that says, take advantage of this. You need to do this right now. And I had never put the two together. I found that very interesting. So you need to go to the company's legitimate website, log into your account to see if the bank has really sent you that scary message. Of course, you might get a message that your Chase bank account is going to be closed, and you laugh and you say, I don't have a Chase bank account. They blast it out with email addresses they have, hoping to find that somebody with a Chase bank account falls for it. Don't ever fall for anything. Same thing with phone messages. Hang up. Don't answer the phone if you don't know who's calling. I let it go through to voicemail. That happened to me the other day. And it was Providence, which is my health insurance under United Healthcare. But what my announcement said was wireless caller. I'm not going to answer the phone. Or with Spectrum, they come through spam risk. So we have to be careful with our emails, and we have to be careful with not answering the phone with numbers that we don't know, because when you do, you are noted as a number that will answer the phone, and your number gets sold for more money. Prescription drug scams, seniors are trying to save money. There's all kinds of drug scams out there that, again, you want to double check. Does this company really exist? Do they do what they say? You have to do your research. According to AARP, it's necessary for you to do that on OMI. When it comes time for Medicare enrollment 2 or 3 years ago, my phone was ringing off the hook. They do their homework. They say, we'd be more than happy to help you with your paperwork, or we give medical services at a lower cost, and on and on and on. And all they want is your personal information. They want your ID. They want to get treatment with your name using your Social Security number and your Medicare. Medicare says, we are not going to call you. Don't think that it is us. They tell you to go to websites. And I went to one time just to see what it looked like. And it was totally, I mean, my gosh, it had everything that one would want to be an official website. And then when I looked up in various and sundry places, and no, it was noted as being a fraud website. They're bogus. Where can you get this information? Somebody will have a senior health fair and you go to a booth and everything looks totally legitimate. You are not going to give anybody your information, period, or you're going to have Judy sitting on your shoulder going, you know, she told me not to do this. You get a robocall, don't answer emails. And it's all about text now. Free medical supplies and equipment. Hi, this is Becky, your patient advocate, working closely with Medicare. Blah, 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 blah. Not so. Becky's a well-known person, and Becky's name gets changed, and the voice stays the same, and then the voice is a man, and on and on and on. So what are they doing? They're phishing. You stopped by our website. You've been out and about on the web. I got this one. And you don't know whether you have or not. Well, I would not go to a website about something like this. So that lead in right there, let me know, don't answer the phone. I don't anyway. But this woman called every darn morning at 8:11 for 2 weeks. I followed, boom, 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 3 more calls before 10. And they were, you know, spoofed numbers, numbers that really don't exist. I never answered, so she stopped. But then a man started calling. And this is all around the time when it's Medicare enrollment. And they're just hoping to make some money on their part or steal your information. Charity scams, please be aware of these. Check at charitynavigator.org or give.org and make sure it is really going to somebody legitimate. The Ukraine scam, that came out immediately, and the BBB and FBI said, stop, you guys, wait a minute. You know, all of a sudden, there's the Ukrainian scam almost instantly when Russia appeared on the scene. Fake donation websites, fraudulent pleas for money. Please help the war-torn people in Ukraine. All fraud. And I love this. Last reminder, Judy, please respond. We're trying to give you this FedEx UPS, USPS package, and we have not been able to get in touch with you. Three from FedEx and one from Lucy, whoever Lucy was, all fraud. They ended up in my scam, and I marked them as spam. So Google knows they made a good choice. When you check your spam box, and you do need to check it and not willy-nilly can't trash everything. John Kennedy went to Proton Mail, which is a very secure email system. And his first 2 emails, Google said, John Kennedy at Proton Mail, we don't know who he is. And his emails had gone through to my spam folder. I didn't, I marked them as okay. And then after that, John's emails went into my inbox, but they didn't recognize who this email address, and they were looking out for me. On the grandparents family scam, this is the one I asked the FBI about it. And the problem with AI now is if your grandkids are out and about in social media, and we all know they are, and their voices are there, AI can capture a very little of their voice and mimic it. So when the people get the calls now, they really do sound like their grandkids. And the thing is, you need to have a talk with your grandkids and come up with a word that if anything ever happens to them and they're calling legitimately, they're going to say pistachio or cotton candy or whatever, so it's really them. But there's an emergency, I was in an accident, I got picked up by the cops, whatever, please send money. So set the privacy settings on your social media accounts so only people you know can access your posts and photos. Make your contact list invisible. Don't have it sitting out there on your page, because the scammers are researching social media. That's where they find the kids. And people 70 and over sent cash, said they lost an average of $9,000. Can you lose $9,000? I certainly can't. And in 2022, $41 million was lost as compared to $26 million in 2021. That is just horrible. Bob G got the call in 2015. His comment was, which granddaughter is calling? And the caller said, what do you mean? Bob said, I have several. The caller said, what's your oldest, Grandpa? She said she was in an accident, failed the breathalyzer test, spent the night in jail, wanted him to wire her $500 via Western Union. Bob said, oh, things are really tight. This is written up in the Avast blog in 2015. Caller said, can't you put it on one of your credit cards? Sorry, they're all maxed out. Oh, please, Grandpa, I don't want to stay in jail. Sorry, sweetie, but I really can't and don't have any money I can send. Click, she hung up. His oldest granddaughter doesn't drive and wouldn't be in Niagara Falls. So, the city of San Diego was the first place that took a ring of people who were doing this across the United States. People sent in complaints. They put them all together, and it was 9 people, I believe, and they got people's money back and put them out of business and put them in jail. So again, you need to file a report. You need to tell anybody that says to you, I've been a victim of, or I did this phishing thing. Encourage them to fill out a report. And the defendants have swindled more than 2 million from 70 plus elderly people across the US, at least 8 in San Diego. And it was the San Diego Elder Justice Task Force, and they got them on RICO. And we clap our hands and say, absolutely fantastic. This is great. We want this to happen more often. If you mailed cash, report it right away to the post office or whichever shipping company you used. And that way, some people have been able to stop delivery. Okay. Spoofing. That's when you get a call from a number and it's not really a number, it's a made up number. Technology takes care of that, and I love it. The acting chairwoman and other FCC staff get spoofing calls too. As she said during one of the commission's monthly meetings, I'm a consumer too. I receive robocalls at home, in my office, on my landline, on my mobile. I've even received multiple robocalls sitting here on this dais, and I want it to stop. I can't imagine a man saying that, but by golly, she wanted it to stop. And with her position, she could make it happen. And I gave this to my group in our July meeting in 2021. I said, have you noticed it's quieter in your house without your phone ringing all the time? And everybody looked at me like I was crazy. And then they went, well, now that you mention it, it has, because the major carriers were going to be fined if they let calls go through that they knew were from spoofed numbers. And my house instantly got 1.5 tons more quiet without the phone ringing. It only affected large carriers at the beginning, but as time went on, the little carriers had to get the technology going and they were required to comply. So largest carrier started on June 30, 2021, and it went from there. And I say, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I appreciate you doing that because it made it much quieter at the Taylour house. So she said it's a top priority. Don't answer calls from unknown numbers. Please don't ever do that. Don't hang up because you're not going to answer it in the first place. Like I said, if you answer, your number gets sold for more money. And if we have solar, I didn't know there was something called solar paint. Whoa, they call all the time out here, solar paint, solar plants, blah, 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 blah. And it'll say, if you don't want to hear from us again, please press 9. That's on the answering machine. The minute you press 9, your phone number is sold for more money. And on and on and on. Government agencies, we're not going to call you, email, or text you to verify personal details. That's your social security number, bank account info, or credit card numbers. We're not going to ask you to pay by cryptocurrency, gift card money transfers, or even plain old ordinary cash. And we won't threaten you if you don't pay. And you know, you really haven't missed jury duty. We really didn't find drugs in your car. We don't have an outstanding warrant for your arrest, and on and on and on. It's all fraud. Microsoft is not going to call you. I can remember back in the day, and Sandy will know the name Jim Evans, and we were talking on the phone, and he says, wait a minute, Judy, I have Microsoft calling. So he said it so I could hear him, and it was the Microsoft people calling because he had all these problems with his computer. And that man led them on like you wouldn't believe. And I'm sitting here, he's in Cleveland, I'm in, 35 miles northwest of Los Angeles, trying to not be heard, laughing hysterically. He played them like a violin. Well, now we say, don't do that because, again, they sell your number for more money. But back then, people were doing, and then next door, people will say, oh, I keep him on the phone for 30 minutes. Oh, I have such a good time. And I'm thinking, don't you have something better to do? But again, I let them know they're going to get more calls. The one ring scam, your phone rings one time and you think, gosh, what is this? Please don't call back. Various or sundry calls go to Sierra Leone and Dominican Republic, and that island is now persona non grata for any U.S. people going down there for vacations. And don't call back, because if you don't have long distance calling with your plan, you're going to get charged, and on and on and on. You can ask your phone company to get your money back. because it's fraud and they may or may not give it to you, your money. So don't call anybody back that you don't know the number. Oldie but goodie, check washing. You think this would go away? Everybody is doing everything online. It's still there. Do you leave your mail in an open mailbox? Yeah, mine's out the front door and to the left. Do you have bad actors in your area that break into locked mailboxes? We do that in the valley where I live. Every once in a while, where do you find out information like this? Next door. And somebody will say, you know, the combo, I don't know if you guys have them in your area, but in our newer developments, not everybody has a mailbox. You have a general location where there's a gazillion small locked mailboxes, and you have to walk or drive to get your mail there. And people got the key. They steal them from, you know, the mail truck that's, in my case, parked at the top of my hill, while the letter carrier goes all the way down the hill, across the street, and all the way back up. Or they break in and steal everybody's mail. And they look for your checks. And the government, the stimulus checks, when they were coming in, that was a biggie. Unemployment checks, they're looking for new sources of income, and they can get that with, you know, a check made out to you if they have your ID information at all, or if it's an outgoing check, they literally wash all the information off except your signature, make it for more money, and all of a sudden your $10 check to the XYZ company turns into the $1,000 check that was cashed to the XYZ company. So they can sell your social security numbers, on and on and on. So be very careful about that. And check washing is alive and well. I went to an LAPD workshop a few years ago. They said they busted a motel room in San Fernando, and in the bathtub, all from wall to wall over the bathtub were strung pieces of small rope and literally clothespins with dripping checks into the bathtub. They'd all been washed. And you think, you gotta be kidding. But it is still around, and they sell the bank account and routing numbers off your checks. Big deal on the dark web. You need to use, drop dead no matter what, a blue or black non-erasable gel pen. The gel seeps into the fibers of your check, and it doesn't work to be washed. It doesn't do them one bit of good. From the legal department, I would prefer you sign things always with a blue pen, so you know what the original is in a legal document or something like that. And for that, you should use a gel pen also. It should just be something that you carry with you when you're going to sign legal documents or anything like that, because you don't want anybody, you know, changing your signature to, you know, theirs with your name or whatever. But a gel pen, and you can get those at Office Depot, Staples, places like that. And they said up here, don't use standalone, you know, the big blue boxes where you could drive by and just, you know, down the street and put your mail in there. Don't do that. Out here, we have one shopping area. It is a Vons area, and with, you know, the pizza place, the beauty salon, the nail place, the notary, the this, the that. And there is one of the blue boxes, and people have reported that they put their mail in there, and there is a sticky string, heavy string that has been attached. You pull it down and attach to the back, and as you're putting your envelopes in there, they get stuck to the string, and the bad guys come by, reel it in, and take everything that has stuck to that and get back in their cars and drive off. And I'm thinking, you have got to be kidding. Don't leave your flag up all the time. If I have mail in the mailbox and I put it in the night before, I go out in the morning before the letter carrier comes. He comes early in the morning, and I will put my flag up. So monitor everything. And the Post Office Inspection Service says, please get in touch with us and let us know this has happened. We need to know. And you can get the United States Post Office Informed Delivery. You will get an email with a scanned copy of your mail and packages that you should be getting the next day or really soon. If you don't get it, then you can go down to the post office and say, here's what you sent me. I didn't receive this. And one of the gals from the computer club where I used to go every other month, she kind of lived out in, a boony area where there wasn't a lot of people around, and she lived at the top of a hill. So she'd walk all the way down to the street level. That's where her mailbox was. And she would be expecting things and it wouldn't come. She'd go down to the post office and say, I did not receive this. She has no proof that she was really going to get it. Or they said, well, the letter carrier left it, whatever. And so she subscribed to this service, and that took care of the fact that people were stealing her mail. And she had, she just never, she thought she wasn't getting it. But no, people were stealing it after it got there. So she had a leg to stand on when she went down to the post office and said, hey, she was able to call her cops. She was LA County sheriffs, and they looked into it for her, and the situation was resolved. It was kids coming by, just fooling around and taking her mail. So configure your email account to display the sender's email address, not their name. I almost fell for this one. I have a friend who's the president of a local group, and he will send me an email and say, let's talk. And he wants me to call him when I have time. He has health problems, so I go out more than he does. And so he's home, so he's there. I can call him anytime. That's just standard. And it was ironic because I got an email from, and that is the last 1001 at AOL.com. That is one of his addresses. And it said that, when you have time, let's talk. And I clicked on reply saying, I'll call you this afternoon. And I looked at his address, and it was going to 101 at gmail.com. He also has a 1001 at gmail.com address. I was just about to click on send, and I said, wait a minute. That's not Jim's address. Well, I received the email at 3 of my accounts. My Gmail, nothing ever happened after I received them there. But my original USA.net account, which is umpteen gazillion years old, is my first email account that I had. I got all of these phishing emails shortly afterwards, 8 a day, down to 3 after 2 weeks, and then nothing. And goodbye to blood sugar worries. Fuel-saving device going viral. Get your timeshares, approximate value for sale. Oh, I love this. Rebuild your gums, teeth, and get rid of tooth decay. And on and on and on. And if you look over on the left, if I'd wanted to unsubscribe, it was Arlington, Virginia, Dover, Delaware, Orlando, Florida, and Miami, Florida. And this, I just had to chuckle. And I let him know what a pain this was. And I tracked it back, and his email address had been stolen from a car agency. And somebody had broken in to their servers, whatever, and stolen all the customer emails, etc. He didn't get his email account hacked on its own. It was one of the corporate break-ins. And I thought, but with USA.net, I can open up and I could track the header on exactly, and there it was with the car dealership name. I gave him a call. Didn't have anything better to do. Said hi. And they said, you are the second person to let us know this. And I'm thinking, oh, the other people don't have time or don't think about it or don't know what to do. And he said, we've had somebody else's, and I gave the guy's name, and oh, does he work there? Oh yeah, he's one of our salesmen. And he said they had another salesman, the exact same thing. So with that, I told him, I took my tech teacher hat on and said, everybody needs to change their passwords, and they need to be upper, you know the drill, upper and lower case, blah, 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 blah. And he said, oh, he says, nobody's told us that. Thank you very much. He says, I'm going to take care of that right now. Bye. You just go through life spreading out the gems as you know them. But Jim hadn't gotten hacked, the car dealer had. So read critically, when in doubt, like I said, throw it out, never click on anything but the kitchen sink. Please don't ever unsubscribe to anything you have not subscribed to. All you're doing is verifying your email address. It's just like answering the phone from somebody you don't know. And the scammers, they get more money because they've found, Judy, she will open up her emails. They get more money for your email address. Mark it as spam, so you train your ISP. You don't want stuff like this. And granted, they're just going to change one digit in their address, and you're probably going to get more. But over time, it works wonders with not having your email address sold again and again and again. So there's one. Unsubscribe here. Mark it as spam. Of course, if you have subscribed to something, feel free to unsubscribe. But during the political season, I get email after email after email because everybody shares the email addresses. You answer one something, and then they share that, you donate to one charity, and they share your email address with 16,000 others. Beware of anything that comes from a stranger, even if your best friend sends you something. Be suspicious. Okay. Here's my spam address again. One day, you get interesting things. So those are my tips. And here's your FBI office. They would like you to subscribe to get FBI email alerts. Every presentation I have given, yours is the only office that has that on their website. And I'd love to know what they're blurring out there, but that's okay. But they would like you to contact them if you are a victim, or if you know anybody who is a victim. Let's see, we have been on for how long now? Is it time for me to go, or can I finish?
Finish.
Okay. How to file a report. IC3. That's where they want you to go. This is what the FBI wants. Libraries and senior centers, and I say tech clubs, to have somebody who knows what to do with that form. You also have your people contact your local PD, no matter what it is. If my wallet was stolen down in the San Fernando Valley, which is the valley south of me, I would report it down there to the LAPD. When I get home, I would report it to the sheriff's department also, to cover everything. And then I would file a complaint letting them know blah, 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 where it happened, what it was doing. And they use all that information to catch the bad guys. Name of the scammer or company, dates of contact, how they got in touch with you, as much information as you possibly can put together, and do it immediately so you don't forget. Or somebody comes to you and says, I think I've been scammed. Sit with them and think of all of these things right here and have them, I say, write this all down, computer literate. They're going to sit at their computer and they're going to put all the information in. My tip at the bottom down there is have you or them create a script, literally type out from their notes exactly what happened. So every single time they report it, they are saying the same thing. So they don't leave an important thing out. I taught tech classes Monday afternoon, 1 to 4, and from 6 to 9. And at night, I think, oh God, I already said that to these people. I had said that in the afternoon class. So we think I've already said that. So have them put a script together. One of my daughter's mother-in-law moved a few miles from one house to another, stopped her mail. It did not get stopped. The junk mail didn't get stopped, apparently, as fast as everything else. And one day she received an envelope from Walmart. It said, we're sorry, we could not complete your credit card application. We need these 2 pieces of information. And she is the most private person in the whole free world. And she said, I never filled out a form for a Walmart credit card. Somebody had stolen her mail, and there was enough information except the 2 things. And I said, Carol, please put a script together on whatever it is, happened, blah, old address, new address, time frame, the whole 9 yards. So you say the same thing. The sheriff's department came to interview her 3 times, and she sat there with her paper and talked about what had happened to her. And then she also filled out one of the IC3 forms. She got in touch with the post office, the whole 9 yards. But please remember that tip. There's the form that the FTC wants you to fill out. If you got a recorded message or a robocall, oh my gosh, I get recorded messages on solar pane, Windows Paint, whatever, continuously. And then they go away. When I don't answer the phone, which I never, ever, ever do, they do stop. And then a couple, 3 days later, I'll start getting something else. But there's a form you fill out. And are there any questions?
I just want to make a comment, Judy. The other day I received in my email about joining Walmart Plus free trial. And it says it's good until the 8th of July, the free trial. After that, it's $98 plus tax after the years, or after the month or whatever is up, the year. So then I'm getting these other emails that follow. Thank you for your order, Edward. It's under my husband's name, my email address, and it shows all gift cards going to an address in Stamford, Connecticut. There was one, Kentucky. There was one that went to Massachusetts. They even actually had pictures of where it was sent to. And I never did this. So I ended up having to call Walmart and tell Walmart that I didn't order any of this stuff. I checked my Chase stuff. No money has been taken out for them to buy credit cards. And then finally, yesterday, I got one that said, they're sending back and refunding my gift cards. But it was 3 different addresses, 3 different names in 3 different states. So I told Walmart, I don't even shop at your store. I don't have any kind of an account with your store, and I better not be charged $98 for something that I didn't order. So she took all this information from me. And I couldn't believe it. I never did take them off of here yet because I was wondering if I was going to get anything else.
The emails.
The emails,
Yeah.
You got to be careful with that.
Yep.
But I checked it all out before I said, I didn't order any of this. I don't live in Kentucky or Connecticut or Massachusetts.
If you are one of my people, I get people that get in touch with me because my youngest brother was a homicide detective his entire LA Sheriff's Department career. So I say the detective gene is in his baby sister. They were in World War II when I was born. And so people will say, I've got this. Can you do some research on it? But I have a collection of things like that, and maybe Sandy would like a copy of that so she can just use it in a presentation she puts together or sends it out so you guys can see it. You get those from McAfee, you get them from Microsoft, you get them from Best Buy, you get them from all kinds of people, and it's usually you have, I love the one for Windows Defender that we've charged your account for $400 and change for something that is free.
Free.
Right.
You know, and I'm thinking, and one of Bill's members got something and he forwarded it to me and he said, would you research this? So I put my Dickie, you know, my brother's name was Dickie detective hat on, and I called the number just for grins. And this kid answers the phone.
Yeah.
And I said, where are you located? And he goes, the Washington, D.C. area. And I asked him how old he was, and he was just a kid. And I said, you do know that your number is on this scam email that somebody received. And do you know that's against the law? And I said, do your parents know what you're doing? And he was kind of, well, no. And I said, oh, well, I'm going to be leaving the call now because I have the police who have been listening in on this call the whole entire time we've been talking, and they will be getting in touch with you shortly. And I hung up the phone. I couldn't help myself. I couldn't believe it. Some kid was involved somehow with the scam.
He probably read it on the internet somewhere. Oh, this is easy. Try this.
You know, and I thought I, you know, put this, you know, the fear of God into that kid. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't wait to hang up so I could laugh. And then I gave my report. And the same thing happened again at the Laverne group to a husband and a wife who were traveling, and the husband fell for something. And the wife said, you know, sent me an email, and you're always talking about security, Judy. And I thought, well, your husband should have been coming to the meetings too. And he said, could you look at this? And I got the Chicago number and I could hear the boiler room. Microsoft, how may I help you? Microsoft, how may I help you? Just in the background.
Yeah.
And so I hung up and I called another time, same thing. The next time I called McAfee, how can I help you? And they were all doing something different. And I finally talked to one of the people the third time I called, and I said, you know what you're doing is, and they weren't in Chicago, but I said, you know what you're doing is against the law, blah, blah. And I scared the heck out of him. And I said, who are you doing this for? The idiot gave me the name of the company and the contact. And it was in Central California. And the husband had given them money to fix his computer because they were walking out the door for a lengthy vacation in Michigan or Minnesota, you know, with the relatives. And I said I got this guy on the phone and I said, okay, I'm following up on blah, blah, blah. And it is against the law. I said, I need this person's name. I need his money returned. And he did it.
Yeah.
So you never know. You put your mom and your teacher voice on and it works wonders.
Yeah.
Because you no more sound like a nice person than you could fall through the, you know, roof, especially with your teacher voice. And it worked. When they got home, their money was back in their account. And it was a tech support scam.
Yeah.
So push back.
For sure.
So do we have any questions?
Well, I just wanted to do that. I liked your presentation very much, very enlightening. I appreciate you
There's so
doing
much
it.
out there. Makes you stop and think about
Right.
anything you do.
Yeah, well, it's like I say, we kind of semi know all this, but we need to share this information with our senior friends who are clueless and might fall for something like this.
Right.
You know, so you just kind of have to be aware of what they're talking about, what they're telling you, or just if like the romance scam, all of a sudden they're just all at Twitter and there's nobody locally that they're interfacing with. It's all online.
Dr. Bill has done a lot on the romance scams.
Yeah, Margie has
Over
a way.
again, and he broke it down and
And Margie raised her hand.
Margie, you have a question?
Judy, I was wondering, when you talk to these people, especially the young people, do you ever use background sounds like sirens?
No. No, but I could have it like the chatter,
The chatter.
in the car, the microphone. But I know enough from my brother of the talk that you can use.
Yeah. Just
And those are the kinds of books that I read. I read
Yeah.
espionage and murder mystery and stuff like that. So I have the words in my head that are scary to use.
Did you say at the beginning that was it Google was coming out with some more secure,
Yes,
Yes, would you like to know about those from my presentation last night?
sure.
yeah, sure.
Yes.
Okay. Go on. Oops. These are my funnies.
Okay.
This is my hacker. Here we go. New online security features, and it's yellow because we have no sun out here. So I thought it would be nice to be able to
We
look
have
at
no sun out here either.
to have a sun color for a while. So it's called About This Image, and it helps you evaluate the reliability of visual online content. And you can find out when Google first found it and indexed it, an image or something that was similar to this image, where it might have first appeared. Where else has it been seen online? The news report, social media, fact-checking site, or whatever. If you have any, Sandy, haven't you gotten the letters from the attorney for having copyrighted information on your
Yeah.
site?
We used a cartoon they didn't like.
Right. Okay, you have to be very careful not to do that because
Yeah.
the
We have
people
to
are out
consider-
to get you, and some groups have paid, some groups haven't.
They finally went away. We ignored them for
Yeah.
a year or more.
Right, and we had the Los Angeles Computer Society, their program chair is a retired attorney, so she took care of that. I shared that information with a group in Florida, he massaged it, and they got rid of them that way with we're nonprofit 501c3s,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. But this is just another way to find out. This is an AI version of the moon landing. So, you know, you're going to find out whether that's a good image or not. Content safety. It's been around since 2018. I remember when it was announced. And now they were using AI back then to classify and prioritize the review of potential child sexual abuse material images. And this API is used by Facebook, Yubo. I looked that up. That is a French safe kids, safer kids site, so to speak, SaferNet and others. And they process more than 4 billion images each month, which is absolutely amazing. And they're expanding it into video content because video files account for nearly 50% of all the files reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And we say, thank you, Google, for doing that. There is a passwordless future. In September, Google is going away with the HTTPS because so many sites that have HTTPS have been scammed, and you really can't be sure that putting your credit card information, etc., in there, it is really a secure site. And Google and the European Union are the ones that championed the HTTPS, and Google saying it really didn't work. And so they're saying you should, and that's just not in this presentation, that's just for you to know. But what is coming up instead of the lock will be some silly looking thing that looks like it has to do with music. But they're saying no passwords in your future. They're the first major tech company that says, please sign up, get a pass key, and use it for everything Google. They say that's where the A belonged. I knew there was something missing. Advanced security is 2FA with a key that's created with cryptography. They say nobody can break it. Now, we've heard that before, with 16,000 letters, numbers, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, it's a two-step process of doing this. And of course, you need to have a different one for each account. And I thought, what does that do to your password manager? Well, the password manager companies are working all together to switch to, or in addition to passwords, this key that you have created. So they're not going to be losing money. They're going to be kind of carrying on. And this is right now. You can do this right now if you want to. Safe browsing. They're using AI to identify us, to alert us to dangerous sites and files. I was at a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and this was quite the discussion on how in the world do you know where you go if it's a safe site. And I mentioned Web of Trust, WOT, that is like open source software where people can collaborate and people report sites that are buggy, sites that are bad. And if you have the extension for WOT, it will pop up and say, this is a green site, it's good, or it's orange, you know, take your chances, or it's red, don't go under there under penalty. I usually have people do that who are just new to computers and the internet, but this is above and beyond that. And it's going to say, we're going to stop scans before they happen, going to stay ahead of all the bad guys. And they're catching more attacks and blocking an additional 25% of phishing attempts every month in anything related to Chrome and Android. And it's just working behind the scenes. And again, if you use Chrome, you have an Android phone, you say, appreciate that. And that, I love it. Oh, look, deceptive site ahead. Wow, that's going to get your eyeball. And you go from there. Spam view in Drive. If you have a Gmail account, you have Drive. LCCUG uses Google's nonprofit Gmail, and that's where all our stuff is kept, in our Drive. And we get protected as an email user with nearly 15 million unwanted messages. As I said, everything that is spam or phishing, etc., never hits my inbox. It's always in spam. And they're expanding that to anything that you have in Google Drive. And you can decide what you might view, if you think it's spam or not, your choice. But again, stay away from potentially unwanted or abusive content. And it's going to automatically classify content into the spam view, so you can take a look at it, and protects folks from seeing dangerous or unwanted files. And you can block them if you want to. Dark web scans for your Gmail address. Used to be only available to the people who paid extra money, which gives you Google One, and that gives you more than your 15 gigabytes of free storage with Google, Gmail, and photos, etc. But now anybody with a Gmail account will be able to run a scan to see if your email address is on the dark web. And you're saying, way cool, how do I do that? They've got instructions for you on how to check it out. So Discover Card is looking for my Social Security on the dark web, and I can look myself to see if my address has been stolen in a company grab of email address. And that was in my hackers presentation last night. So I'm looking forward to checking this out, because I have a gazillion Gmail addresses. And your next version of Android, I have an iPhone, but we determined last night that it's up to 13. And there's going to be more transparency how the apps use our data. You're going to get to say yay or nay more on if you want to share your location information with advertisers. And we're going to, I'll always say, no, thank you. I don't want to do that. And they're going to have new data detection under Google's Play data safety section. And it's easy to request your account or other data be deleted. And if you have Google accounts, you use Google, you watch YouTube videos, you do searching, you have email, you have your Maps location feature turned on. Google would rather that you got rid of all of your location data. They don't care. They're, you just haven't checked the box that says, don't bother to, when I use Maps, don't keep the information. And if you have not done that, you need to go through their security checks with your accounts and delete all of the information that you went here, there, and here on such and such a date. Do you really need that to be there? Open to anybody who may or may not hack in. I don't know if they hack in. I doubt they do, but still. And make it down to 0. And then you can set it so if I use Google Maps and I get directions from here to there and everywhere, the minute I do that and I on my merry way and I've got there or whatever, when I turn my computer off or I shut down my browser, that information goes away. It's not kept. And I think most people would like to have it that way, but you don't have it that way now. So you're going to need to go in and delete everything. It is a lengthy task when it is pouring rain outside and there's no way, or it's snowing like crazy and you can't go outside. This is a kind of task you want to sit around and do, because if you have been, searching and apping and mapping and YouTubing for eons, all that information is affiliated with your Google account. So that is something that they would like you to do, and it's going to be easier to do that and easier to say no. And there you can delete your, this isn't ready yet. All the rest of that stuff is good. This isn't ready yet. But now you can delete your map search history from the web and app activity. What's coming up is you just need to go to the recent searches, and there will be some place where you could tap and you delete that history instantly. So if you have years of map history to your kids' houses or here, there, or whatever, and you really don't want that out there, clean it up, and then it's just a tap to delete your search. So that is what's new with Google. And I came across that when I was searching for stuff to show at my meeting last night. And down at the bottom, it's from Google. It says, subscribe to the newsletter we send out once a week. And I thought, how cool to learn about what, I'm a Google kid. What can I tell you? I say Google it, and John says, you're supposed to say duck, duck, go it, Judy. But, so, I subscribe to it. So it'll be interesting to see, to keep up to date with what they're doing. And I thought those were cool new security things that people could use.
Very good, very
Yes,
interesting.
thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have to watch for those and feel better about them.
Yeah, but I do encourage you. I had there's more to it than Google it presentation. Rob Truman has a version, Bill James does, and I have my version of that. But I have my mapping history on one of the things, and daughter's mother-in-law called during COVID and said, can we go on a field trip, please? So I said, sure. But I have a matrix, and the pan below my engine falls off every once in a while because my car is very low to the ground in front and going over a berm in parking. I have scraped it, and people wonder why I am so far back from the berm, and it's because of the pan. I said, went by the auto shop. They came out and put the clips back on for me. Had to stop at the drugstore, went and picked her up, drove up to the Antelope Valley, which is the next valley north. We stopped here, we stopped there, and that was all in my history. It was perfect for my presentation about, Google it is more than, it's more than Google it.
What
And
you referred to
Then
me.
I turned it off. So it's your pleasure. You can keep that on or you can turn it off.
Very interesting, very good. Thank you. That was.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much. Applaud you.
Thank you for getting up for us.
And I will send you the presentation.
Thank you. Yes, we have a list of links, and any of your links we'll pull out and add to our list.
Mhm.
I will be there by 1 o'clock.
And then we'll
Is it okay?
have a link to this recording if you don't mind.
Cool.
Great, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
you're going to talk about phones now, right?
It's okay.
Yeah, for those who want to stay, we're gonna have troubleshooting,
I'm sorry.
when people say, how do you do this and how do you do that, and why is this?
Outstanding. I'm going to eat breakfast.
Thanks, Judy.
I will be there.
Thank
Bye.
you, Judy.
Oh,